Well, oh, here we go. Hello, everybody. Randy Lallam here from Volunteer Owensboro. I'm here talking to my friend Dave Fogle. How you doing, sir?
Great.
Good. You know what? We started, and then I was going to say stop because we need to bless this mess, so to speak. So, Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering here today with Dave, and we ask that this interview just give you the glory and inspire people out there watching to want to volunteer and love their neighbor. Dave, how you doing today?
Great. Awesome.
Good, man. Well, thank you so much. We're down here at Computer Dave Computer Shop, but that's not the reason that we're here. We're not promoting computers today. We're promoting loving other people, like we all should be doing, right, Dave?
Amen.
And you're the perfect example of that. I know a lot of folks out there are familiar with y'all's outreach. You and your wife Kim's over here. Y'all's outreach, I always call it just like a street ministry. You call it a mobile outreach, whatever you want to call it. Basically, y'all take a lot of stuff. You see this food, by the way, you can donate right here, right?
Yep.
Y'all always need some. The last Saturday of each month, there's a bunch of totes over here. Y'all give away clothes, food, all kinds of things, and literally on the street. You go to, let's talk about the places that you go each month.
So we start out at the Cadillac Motel at about 10:30, and then from there we go to Tent City, and then after that we choose we have been choosing one of the housing projects like Rolling Heights or Lincolnshire or the Green Tree.
Yeah. So and also Tent City. So you're going to the streets where people are in need of whether it be clothes, and of course we're getting at the end of winter, the cold, but you've given away lots of jackets, shoes, socks, all kinds of things. So you can be a part of this ministry by donating right here. Bring like what kind of foods is it that you're looking for?
So canned food is a big thing, like canned chicken. We do ramen noodles. We do tuna packs, Vienna sausages, fruit bars, granola bars, those types of things.
Yeah, so things that are easily like put in a gallon-sized plastic bag and given away to people that'll keep, that don't necessarily have to be refrigerated, that can be easily opened and eaten for somebody that possibly is living on the streets and don't have access to cook or warm up those things. So you can make those donations anytime at all, I'm sure, as long as you're open here at Computer Dave, right?
Yep, we're here from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. You can drop things off anytime that you want. Hygiene is also a big thing that we do. You know, you've got toothpaste and soap and shampoo. The dry shampoo is really nice for people that don't have availability to fresh water like we do. So that's a big plus. But yeah, please just feel free to drop these things by anytime.
Now, if they want to help you go deliver that, let's talk, what would they need to do?
Just give me a call. You know, we've got people that volunteer out in the field, and then we have some people that aren't comfortable with that, and they want to volunteer here to where they help bag up things and sort things and that type of thing. So regardless of what your comfort level is, we can find a spot for you somewhere.
And your website, people.Love.
That's right.
People.Love, and you can go there and you can read the blogs. You can find out what donations you need. You can contact yourself or your wife Kim and get hooked up, right?
That's right.
Now, that's good. I'm glad that they've learned about helping your ministry. But now let's talk about your recent experience. You have been 3 or 4 years now, you all have had this ministry?
Yes, sir.
And you wanted to actually experience what it was like to walk in the shoes of someone that's homeless, correct?
That's correct.
And recently you got a chance to do that.
I did.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Reason being, I want these people out here, and I want to understand too. I think we all need to understand to walk in other people's shoes for a minute. It's very easy, I think it is for me, I'll speak for myself, to judge other people. You know, when we see people on the side of the streets begging for food or with their signs or whatever that looks like, my judgmental mind goes to, well, you know, they've done it to themselves. It's probably this. But you got to walk in the shoes for a couple of days and actually live it. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was expecting to get a lot more resistance whenever I went out. I thought that when I went to some of these places, they were going to ask me for IDs and proof of residency and all this type of stuff, but that wasn't my experience at all. You know, like I started out, that first morning, and I went to St. Ben's, and man, I'm telling you, I just walked right in there, and nobody said a thing to me. I sat down. I was able to use the bathroom. I was able to fill my water bottle. If I wanted to, I think it would have been no problem for me to be able to take a shower, to do laundry. I could have sat down and watched TV and had a cup of coffee, and nobody said a thing. I mean, it was awesome.
So you was basically, your wife dropped you off one morning. You all had this planned, and you had a backpack, a few supplies, and you took off. And because of your street ministry, you knew the places that helped the homeless. You knew where they hung out. So that's where you went. First stop being St. Benedict's. St. Benedict's, while we're talking about that place, it's so good that you brought that up, because they are willing to help people, and they have helped hundreds and thousands of people through the years. I was around when they first opened their physical building, and I've been blessed to be a volunteer there for a while, and I have seen firsthand the men in there. My favorite thing about it is when we go there each month, a group from my church goes and serves supper once a month. The men coming through the line are always so thankful. And Christ truly is inside that building, because you can see, it's not like they're being told, hey, you better be grateful to these people.
Right.
It's like they really get it. They know, and they're thankful for people, genuinely thankful that people took time out and are serving them a meal. That's just my experience. So people out there watching, they can actually volunteer at St. Benedict. Matter of fact, right now as we speak, I just talked to Jeff down there the other day. They're looking for a team to serve a meal the first Sunday of each month. By the way, a little side note. But there's lots of ways you can help St. Benedict's. I'm sorry. Keep going with your story. So they were helpful.
Oh man, it was awesome. Yeah, that just blew me away. That's not at all what I was expecting. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to step up the game a little bit. And I walked over to the Patino shelter. I got there right in time, right before lunch was served. Walked right into that, I call it a basement, full of people. You know, there had to be 30 people in that, kids too. They were passing out food to these people that they could take home with them. It was like, I'm not going to say stale food, but it had the discount sticker on it, so it probably came from one of the local stores. And I was able to sit down and eat a meal, and nobody said a thing. No ID, no nothing. I walked in there, I was hungry, I was fed, which is biblical, and then went on about my day.
Yeah. So Patino Shelter is another place that a person out there watching can get involved in. And Wayne and I have been able to be a part of the lunch. They serve lunch to people. When we were there was about 80 people there. They said usually the numbers can get over 100 people every single day of the year.
That's a lot of people in that little room.
It is. 365 days a year. There's a lunch open for anybody in this community. A lot of people do not realize that. Guess what? That takes volunteers to do that. That takes support. That takes people. People don't realize all the awesome nonprofit organizations and street outreach like you all have going on, and all the good things around here. And I'm telling you, folks, if you don't, get involved in one of them, because there's nothing better than being the hands and feet of Christ, being able to be used by Him to help these folks. So Patino Shelter, that's another place, you all, to support. Get out there and volunteer there. They need support in other ways. I'm sorry, let's continue with your story.
No, you're fine. After that, I walked downtown. I did some panhandling, and sure, there were a lot of people that wouldn't make eye contact with me, and a lot of people that wouldn't stop and wouldn't help, but some people did. It was really humbling. It really blew me away. From there, I went to the courthouse and did the same thing. Again, no resistance. Even met a deputy in the bathroom. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I just was expecting to get more. I was expecting to be treated more badly, because I talk to the people on the street, and I hear the way that they're treated and the way that they're ignored and neglected and how that makes them feel, and I just wasn't experiencing that, which makes me think that either the good Lord was just watching out for me because He figured I was too dumb for my own good.
Not experienced, in that.
or the people of Owensboro are really, they're good people. We live in a good community.
I think we do. I think we live in a great community.
Yeah.
And I've been one of those people on both sides that have not made eye contact with somebody on the side of the road. And I've been one of those people that rolls down the window or even gets out and talks and helps and tries to support or takes somebody to a restaurant to eat. I've been on both sides of that, so I cannot judge, somebody. I always feel like if I'm driving by somewhere, I try to say a prayer, to God, do I need to help this person or will I be enabling them?
Right.
Or is something, and it's not for me to judge. He tells us to help people and we should do that, but I don't know. But there's sometimes that I do and sometimes that I don't. And I just kind of take that feeling as it comes. But it's good to hear that people are out there, and I know they are. They're willing to help. And I agree. We live in a pretty awesome community. There's a lot of people out there watching right now. I was like, you're preaching to the choir, Randy, and I get it. And I want to thank all of you all. There's so many of you out there that are just making a huge difference right here in our community. You're loving other people and you're helping other people, and it's awesome. Well, let's keep going with your story.
From there, I went to a place called Welcome House that I had heard a little bit about, and we had done our outreach, done a little bit of work with them, and I thought, I want to go in there with a complete changed experience. I was all scraggly, long beard, and I still have hair coming out of my ears, but and I walked in there, and man, they were I had to stop them because they were beginning the process of getting someplace for me to live, and I'm like, whoa, stop, whoa, I'm Computer Dave.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. But that was just really, refreshing to do that. I took advantage of the Owensboro public transit system. I got on a bus. Those folks are super, super nice. That's a whole nother story of itself.
Yeah.
And then the next day I went down to Tent City and spent some time down there. That was kind of rough.
Yeah.
But it was good for me to experience that. One thing that you were talking about while ago about loving on other people, I guess the Holy Spirit just kind of gave me a message when I was down there, and that was, Jesus said, love your brothers and sisters. He didn't say love your brothers and sisters if, like some contingent, if they're clean, or if they live like you and I do, or if they talk like you and I do, that kind of thing. So, yeah, we're supposed to love on everybody, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of their decisions.
Well, when he gives us the story of the Good Samaritan, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
The man that actually stopped to help this guy was a foreigner. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know anybody there. He didn't go up and ask him any questions. He stopped and he helped somebody that was in need, period. I mean, that's, Jesus' story. That's what he tells us, right? To love on each other. And I understand, I've never personally been to Tent City here in Owensboro. I've been to tent cities in some other communities in Louisville and some other communities, and I've seen that, and it can be kind of scary. It can be kind of, just because I think mostly because we're not used to it. We're not used to how some of these folks have to live and some of the things that goes on. But again, like you said, we're here to help people. So, what if they choose, if I end up giving a donation to somebody on the street asking, and if they choose to do something with that, that's going to harm themselves, we're not here to enable for sure. So if we know, we don't want to enable, but at the same time, my conscience can be free if I help somebody and then knowing that, okay, I did what the Lord asked me to do. He asked me to help these people, and I did, and what they do with it, that's going to be on them. But I'm sure that the tent city was different and unique. I've never been here to the local one.
Well, normally when we go down there, we're bringing stuff to give to them, and in this circumstance, I was down there with absolutely nothing to offer them, and I was offered. Somebody offered me to share their meal. Somebody offered me something to drink, a Coke. They don't have fresh water down there. And one of the men were even ready to make me a place to stay that night. So, I mean, they have nothing, and then yet they offered me everything that they had pretty much. they offer me a place to stay.
So they're taking care of each other.
Yeah.
Even a complete stranger, because I would think that they would get to know each other a little bit, living amongst each other. But you were a stranger. They knew that. You coming in, and they were willing to help you.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. It is huge. What else, Dave?
Well, let's see. The rest of my time was, I spent some time in a local restaurant here. There's one local restaurant that's pretty friendly to people that are experiencing homelessness coming in, and they allow them to sit down for the price of a hot cup of water, overpriced cup of water. I was able to refill that cup as many times as I wanted to. I ate a freeze-dried meal in the restaurant. So I'm eating a freeze-dried meal out of a bag in a restaurant, and people are sitting around me eating restaurant food. They're being, normal. And it was just kind of a surreal moment there for a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
But I got some strange looks. Nobody said anything to me. Nobody asked me to leave. I'm in there with my backpack, just hanging out and charging my phone.
Yeah, yeah. I would think as long as you're not in there causing trouble, then,
Right.
yeah, nobody minds. Well, so to wrap this up, Dave, how would you encourage people out there watching? Because I told you this before we even started. We always, any story that we do, anything that we cover, we want to tie it into volunteerism and basically just serving others in need. Like they can come down here and help you guys, your outreach, and there's other mission, so to speak, going on around Owensboro as well. There's places like we talked about, the Patino Shelter, you can volunteer at helping, and St. Benedict's. Any last words you want to say to encourage people to get involved somewhere and help the homeless? That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, if you're on the fence, just try it. We have people that come to our outreach, and I'm sure it's the same with the Patino Shelter and St. Benedict's, and they might just try it once and have the experience, and they're done. Other people come in and they volunteer once and they're hooked.
Right.
And they just, it's life altering for them. So regardless of where you choose to pick, just pick somewhere and just try it. It can really be a life changing experience. And if you don't want to come out into the field, there's lots of stuff that you can do behind the scenes. I'll be honest with you, there's a lot more happening behind the scenes to prepare for, going out. So yeah, just do it.
That's a good point. I mean, you're never going to know if you don't try.
Yeah.
And we're all called to do different things. So if that's not your calling, if you do try to go to a shelter and help and you say, no, that's not for me, there's something out there.
Yeah.
VolunteerOnesboro.com has about 80 to 100 different ways that you can volunteer. So if that's not your thing, go there and find something that is. Dave, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For sharing your story. I just wanted people to kind of know how it was to walk in the shoes, for a day or 2 days or a couple days or however long it was. But like we always want to say, you guys, get out there and volunteer. Find your niche, find your way, and let's get busy and let's make a difference. And thanks to all the people that are already doing it too. We'll talk to y'all later.